Hey everyone, welcome to Mid-Geek Crisis, episode 24. My name is Joe.
Pedro, cautious looking at my smartphone, which is what I do all the time. So
Yeah. I do the same thing. I'm kind of attached to it. Hey guys, so we're going to try something different this episode. It's going to be a little short. We are really trying to hone. What's the best word for this?
I like sharpen.
Sharpen
right now we're
the
like a
show.
blunt instrument, right?
We kind of hit you with an hour and 20 minutes worth of like babble, and then and not that we love you not that we don't love you, that's the proper term, but we're looking at our analytics, we look at our numbers and whatnot. We're trying to figure out what that sweet spot is. We want new people to come in, we want people to talk, and this episode might be a little different in the sense that we just want to talk about maybe one or two things. And we'll see how that goes, and we'd like the feedback, the comments, and we'll go from there. Yeah. So on this particular episode, I think we were going to not focus on the video game aspect of the geek life that we normally talk about.
We do talk a lot about video games.
I tend to run through that. I'm the video game guy, but that's not to say that I don't like tabletop. I think while we were at PAX East, we played more tabletop than anything.
Yeah, no, it's what I love about PAX East, setting up a table in that play area and just playing games.
Yeah, playing games. The tabletop area was massive this year at PAX East. It felt bigger than it has in a while. It was kind of menacing when you'd come down the escalators and look at the top and try to find somebody.
Inviting, like you're coming to
inviting, menacing, a little bit of both.
I'll be honest with you, the bring your own computer area looks like it lost some space. It wasn't as big as it was in previous years.
I think
that was intimidating. Like those first few years of PAX, that was a huge section of just row upon row of like Orwellian computers.
I think the days of like LAN parties are done. Not that I'm saying that they can't happen. I think that we were the LAN party people. Mm-hmm. We enjoyed it. We kind of followed through with it. We were the age group that wanted to bring our machines. Now everyone's comfortable like with just turning on their webcam and streaming and talking to each other, and their social aspect is not as physical. Like the enjoyment of being next to each other and playing isn't the same.
There's that, and also I think like the idea of bringing in your massive gaming rig to a convention at a convention full of computers and things to do feels like a lot of work.
Yeah, so now most of the setups are they have their own PC setups, and you just kind of like rent a computer for them.
Is that what it is? I think
so. A lot of them, all of them were like. They were like Lenovo or HP gaming machines. Great. They were nice. Either way, but the social aspect of PAX is kind of what we thrive for at our age. Mm-hmm. We miss our peeps. Before the show started, Pedro put out this wonderful mock scenario of what my life must be like. And I can
bonus
tell
content.
But that is not sadly how it is. He keeps badgering me. He's like, "When are you gonna sit down and play some games, man?" I'm like, I want to, but the days don't happen that way.
Yeah, they slip by. It's fast.
My weekend this past weekend involved absolutely no video games. As much as I wanted to, I think it was more cleaning the game room after the week or the 2 weeks that I hadn't been in the game room because of PAX and everything, and then the boys kind of tear it up.
I mean, you also went on a nice trip to some
and so I had to
area to take a picture in front of an ice cream factory. I didn't really get the Texasness of it, but
yes. For my Texas folk, we know what Bluebell ice cream. It's kind of like
it's the Listeria place, right?
Right. It's the Listeria. Yeah. It's honestly, I'm not a
Texas people. No.
Get him! Boo this man! No, so it was just funny that I was there. I'm not a huge Bill Bubba fan. I enjoy it occasionally.
It's a tradition. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
But family, I had to pay some family equity for being away for that long and whatnot. So this weekend was not a video game, even though all I wanted to do was sit down and like devour 4 hours plus of Borderlands.
I had a kid's birthday party on Saturday, and then Sunday we went to see... Oh, okay, so we went to see Howl's Moving Castle. There was a Studio Ghibli weekend at the movie theaters. 15-year anniversary of Howl's Moving Castle played, so it was Howl's Moving Castle on the big screen, which is the way it was intended to be watched.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
And actually, this is how old I am. My wife and I, we went to see it in the theaters as a date, right? Like this was the thing we did back in the day. So we took her to it, and she enjoyed it. She was a little scared of some of the scenes, which is fine. The movie theater freaks her out, and it starts strong and then evens out and then ends strong. So it's
Miyazaki in general is always kind of like in your face. I think,
and then it just ends like it's the weirdest film. Like there's all this buildup, and then it's like boom, 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 done. Goodbye.
Is Howl's the one that starts off with the parents being turned to pigs?
No, that's Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
I don't know that R's ready for yet. But
right. Like that's the one that like freaks me out. I was like, it's the anime version of the kids being turned to donkeys.
Yeah,
like in Pinocchio.
The parents get turned into pigs. The kid gets abandoned. She's got to fight all these monsters. Spirited Away is a pretty scary one. It's a pretty nutty one. And this Howl's Moving Castle has its moments, but she really enjoyed it. We saw also Mary and the Witch's Flower. That's on Netflix. That's by part of the people. They left Studio Ghibli and formed their own studio. I forget the name of the studio, but it's no disrespect. It's clearly an homage to Studio Ghibli type shows, right? It's not a ripoff. A ripoff would be too strong, but it's definitely.
It's like back in the 80s when all the people that left Disney formed the Bluth studios. They did Land Before Time and
still super high quality, but
the Rats of Nim. What is it?
Clearly, Rats of Nim. Ooh, that's us. We're old, right? That's our. We're old. Land Before Time 1, everybody, not 5 or 6.
Yeah, but all of those have that really beautiful pencil work. The American Tail.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are all Bluth, not Disney, but you can tell that hand is like Disney animators.
And I have to be honest with you, Howl's Moving Castle, 15 years later, is still
anything is
impressive animation. It's astounding. Like I want to go back and watch Nausicaa. What is it? Nausicaa, Wind of the North, or Princess Wind. It's like 35 years old, and I remember when my uncle brought that home on VHS tape. And like we were halfway through, and he was like watching. He was like, "Is this appropriate for kids?" Like he hadn't really. There's like violent parts of that movie, right? I remember being maybe scarred by it as a little.
Well, remember, Japanese animation. While it is for kids, the morality of some of these stories
they're so anti-war. It's unbelievable. It's
anti-war, but it's also like it was meant for kids. And while we would see it not as kids, it's like scare you and like, hey. Here's the moral of this, and it was like, oh, I get it. It's not gratuitous horror violence just for the sake of like shock culture. It's like it's going to teach you something by the end of it.
Also, the folks that were making these films they're scarred by the atomic bomb, right? They're totally, it's like our 9/11, but 10 times worse, right? So,
right.
So anyway, we went to see Howl's Moving Castle. It was great. So like I had a weekend just playing with the kid. Played a little bit of video games, right? We do our standard Sunday morning games. We play Rainbow Six Siege, which was a lot of fun. Rainbow Six Siege, I think Polygon has an article about sort of the folks that have been playing it for 3-4 plus years have been writing. It's a lot of fun, and I love playing it. So like we just need a fifth. We need a fifth. We have 4 people. We need a fifth.
There was a story on that, which I'm wondering if you hopped on. The story aired or came up on my newsfeed like the day after we had recorded, where we talked about, don't you wish that we gave like incentive to be nice?
Yeah.
I think they started doing that on Siege. They were like, if you are a good person or a good streamer, like a good player, a good teammate, like don't shoot your teammates or that kind of thing, then they're giving you like bonuses or whatnot. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that patch is coming soon. I don't know if they had it this time around, but that's great. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the new Apex Legends esports environment. I guess folks are taking a risk on them considering they're brand new, things like that. I'm excited for all this stuff, right? That's pretty cool. It's great. But anyway, we were talking about how we don't have time to play video games. Family or our kids, our weekends are sort of consumed by these things. But when I can, I try to squeeze in games, board games, especially with my daughter. So at PAX East, I think I put up a review on Mid-Geek of Discover Lands Unknown, controversial game with the community, right? So every box is unique. There's really no good way to mark what components you have versus what components other people have. It's essentially a procedurally generated board game. So like the pieces are all different and the story is all different. But
is there a tally of how many versions of the game are there?
So everyone knows that there's 6 terrain pieces. There's 36 characters. So 6 terrain pieces, you only get 2 in a box. You only get 12 of those characters of the 36. It looks to me like there's anywhere between 8 and 10 different card sets for the terrains you get.
Mm-hmm.
So there's randomization there. Your equipment's randomized, but not really randomized because I've played 3 different box sets. And all of them had a stone knife, right? So, like, spoilers, sorry, there's a stone knife in every one of those boxes, but maybe not in yours, right?
And maybe there's a base set of like stuff, and then there's the extras.
I think that's what it is. I think there's a base set of stuff that every game has to have to at least be semi-balanced, and then after that, everything comes in.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the thing I like about this game, and I know you can go on, you can read online. Everyone, I mean, Tom Vassell has a really good, I think, even review of why someone might not like it. Here's why I like it. Often when you play games, they become stale, right? So like Discover Lands Unknown, it's a really good game to play solo. So I could set it up and play over and over and over again and enjoy it. But if I went over to your house, for example, Joe, and played it at your place, if you have the same exact game, I've played it a bunch of times. I don't want to play it again, right?
Right.
But because your copy is unique and could have a very different procedurally generated story, playing with you at your place would be a very different experience than playing at my own place, right?
Right.
So I'm digging that. I'm digging that aspect. So I'm really enjoying discovering what my cards are, discovering the best way to sort of navigate my map to get through it. I won't go through all of the rules, right? But it's a neat sort of discovery game. I think they deliver enough of this discovery aspect to call themselves a discovery game. I know there are ones that have done it better, ones that are much more detailed, but this one's fast. I can set it up in about 8 minutes now and play a game in about a half an hour, a death game in about a half an hour, maybe beat it in 45. The other nice thing about it is that R gets it. I mean, she will come over, sit on my lap, and watch me play. She's not confident enough yet to play a character on her own, but she'll count out the moves. It's very simple action mechanic. And she'll, she'll make remarks like she's excited that an elk appeared, or she'll be properly scared when a monster appears that I have to fight and things like that. So she's interested in the discovery aspect as well, which I'm excited for. Anything that gets her excited about board games gets me excited, right? Because I want her to play board games with me. I'd rather her play board games than some of the cheesy iPad games she plays. And nice thing about this is that she'll watch Daddy play this board game for a little bit, and she sees how much I'm reading and how much these games require reading, and she'll try to read with me. So it's a learning tool as well, right? So it's neat, it's fun. The components are great. Discover Lands Unknown, and then we went and played chess. That's my other co-pilot. I feel like I'm such a family of nerds over here, but I play chess. I love chess. I have the No Stress Chess copy of No Stress Chess, which she enjoys. So we played that a little bit, and she actually won because she pulled the queen card and managed to checkmate my king. So that was my weekend, right? Gaming with the kid. That's nice, right?
So with my kiddo, we got to. So Friday started off. I told myself on Friday, I was like, "Hey, let's do this." So while I was at work, I said, "Shazam's coming out," so I bought tickets for the family.
Nice.
I had heard good things about it. I heard it was a good family flick, and it was. It was fantastic. Without any spoilers, it's a very fun DC movie. They really went levity on this one. Zachary Levi, of course, he's always kind of a cornball.
Physical comedian actor. I don't understand how they.
He's fantastic, and he's fantastic in the role. He plays the Big Cheese really great. If you're not familiar with the nicknames, that's kind of actually his nickname, the Big Cheese. The original Captain Marvel.
This is a boy in a Superman's body, right? That's
right. So the premise is, of course,
which has to be a comedy. You couldn't play that straight.
Right. So, little boy, he's an orphan, I guess would be the best way to put it. Billy Batson, do
we even have orphans anymore?
He's a foster kid, I guess, in this movie. He's a foster kid.
Oh my God, I should not. Yes.
Yeah. So he's a foster kid. He's in a foster family. He's looking for his mom. No spoilers, but in the end, he's worthy of some sort. He's worthy. He's chosen by the wizard. The wizard brings him in, gives him the powers.
Some might say cursed.
Some might say cursed. And they play that really well. There's kind of a point in the movie where I think we don't know if there's this looming story arc that's looming over your head where, without any spoilers, I promise this isn't a spoiler, but that there is the wizard is giving his power to he's looking for people to give the power to, and it's going on over 30 years. And that's how the villain is created, to not spoil anything. But then later on, the villain infiltrates the wizard, and then Billy gets chosen after the fact. So then there's this moment of like, did Billy go through the same procedure as everyone else? Was he worthy? And then so, you're kind of, as someone watching the movie, you're like, this is
not right.
Something's not right. But what's great is it's a family flick, and I won't spoil anything on that. But it really is a family flick. It's about him trying to find a place, a family.
Like when you say family flick, you mean like a heartwarming, touching family flick, or you mean like
in a way. Like, so here's this kid.
God, I'm such a terrible person. I can't name a family flick. Like Jingle All the Way, is that a family flick?
So a lot of the Christmas movies tend to be family flicks because
those are all family flicks.
This is when I say family, is one, it's family friendly. There's nothing really too bad in the movie. It is PG.
So Shazam doesn't die, doesn't get killed.
No, there's no death. There is no death, even the villain.
Superman style.
And there is no Superman style. But they really lean into the fact that this is in the same universe as the Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Superman, Batman, etc. This is definitely these kids are growing up in a world where these heroes exist and they know them by name. And so, like, a good example is one of the brothers has like an authentic bullet that had hit Superman's chest with a certificate of authenticity. So it's almost funny, like, we as fans collect all this stuff, but they live in a world where these heroes actually exist.
Oh, these garbage humans picking up bullets and then selling them.
Selling them. Oh, totally. Yeah. So it's really fun. The movie's fantastic. And again, no more spoilers on it, but you really, when you get to that end moment, if you're like me and you're a DC fan, which most people aren't these days, but
come on.
But if you are a DC fan, you're going to geek out because there's just some good stuff that happened. And it's,
So that went up against Avengers this weekend, right?
Well, no, Avengers comes out in a few weeks.
A few weeks. Right.
It feels like Avengers is just out.
Yeah, I feel
like not out, but it's just like I'm like exhausted. Marvel's got that machine. They've got that machine.
Every week there's a new article about it. I'm like,
They're dropping those trailers constantly, bits and pieces. They're releasing the TV spots. We now have more and more TV spots. We now know more and more. I'm
not gonna have to see the movie.
I mean, in the newest TV spot, without any spoilers, the TV spots, they actually show like Tony with the rest of the group now. So I was like, wait a minute, that's a huge spoiler. So you're telling me that Tony? I mean, obviously Tony.
I haven't seen any trailers. Thanks, Joe. I've been studiously avoiding everything.
But
I'm so sorry for that one guy who's watching our show. That's all like, wow, I did all this work avoiding the trailers. Oh, Doug, my man, Doug.
Yeah. Doug, that one's for you if you ever even watch us.
Because I know Doug avoids trailers like that.
He does. My old barber, his barber back in Syracuse, the big, like, the movie's announced, he's like, done, not watching any trailers, which is admirable, but I'm too much of a fan to, like, I gotta absorb it all. And so are my kids. My kids like seeing.
Do you have to explain everything to your kids?
I
just get it watching.
I almost feel like, and this might be a joke, or however what it is, but I almost feel like when I conceived my children, part of my geek DNA was passed over to them in some like hidden knowledge. Like my kiddo will be like, he'll like drop this weird like ancient geek knowledge, like by referencing
ancient
someone.
Scroll knowledge.
I say ancient scroll, deep.
He
dark.
is the chosen one.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you know about that villain, or how do you know about that reference? And I'm like,
it's because he spends all his time on Reddit, right? That's what your kid does.
Right. He's a super troll. Yeah, my oldest for sure. I don't know, man. Like they do get it. Like they watched Shazam and got all the references and knew everything. The only thing they didn't get was a little bit at the end, and then they asked.
So like how, right? You're not. They don't have comics, right? You're not buying them Shazam comics, right?
No. But they've watched enough DC cartoons and whatever that they've mentioned it. I mean, they knew his name was Captain Marvel.
His name is Shazam. Captain
No.
Marvel is the one from the Marvel.
Absolutely not.
They could both be. The world is big enough for Captain Marvel.
But legally, they gave it to Marvel.
I know.
But Captain Marvel, Shazam is the original Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel for Marvel came out after the fact, but Captain Marvel with the company name Marvel, they kind of jumped on it. DC abandoned it, and then they brought it back, and it just became a big cluster F in court, and then by the end of it all, they lost it, or they gave it up. I don't know what the legal ramification was. All I know is they renamed the character. The comic book series is now Shazam. His name is Shazam, or he's still called Captain Marvel within the pages, but the actual comic book is Shazam.
It's a better name.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, it's what he says, right? When he
right, but that's like his yeah.
It's good. For a kid that turns into like a god, essentially, it's actually a pretty good name for it.
It's good. It's good.
Oh, it's a good concept. I should see if R is willing to read some Shazam. She likes
there's definitely some female versions of Shazam.
What'd you say?
There is a female version of Shazam.
Is there really?
Yeah, Mary Marvel.
I don't know that I could Mary Marvel. What? How disrespectful is that? Captain Marvel? Really?
Or she's actually Miss Marvel.
I don't. There's already a Miss Marvel in the Marvel universe. I don't want to explain.
Well, she's Captain Marvel.
She's Captain. She's Shazam. That's really confusing.
It is confusing.
It's confusing for R because she does the DC superhero high with all those female characters, right? The Wonder Woman's in that universe, and then she'll read like a new Wonder Woman, and they have different sort of arcs, right? She's like they have different kind of origin stories, all those characters. So a lot of times, like she's like, but wait, I thought so and so was, where's she wasn't made from clay. She's Zeus's child, right? Because that's the DC. There's very different origin stories, and I'm like, well, kiddo, you got to think of this as like alternate universes. And then I wind up going down the rabbit hole. Like it's kind of like, and she's like, well,
you got to do the same thing. It's tough.
So dumb, Daddy. Why is this ridiculous?
It's tough, especially when you've got with DC. It's a little harder. Marvel, you've got 1968, 1965, and up for some of these characters. For Wonder Woman, for Batman, for Superman, you've got 1938.
Yeah, but all right. So wait. Maybe you're being like pulling out 1938 origins, but I'm like, what did the last movie say about Batman? I'm not like that.
Yeah, but like so that's
I'm not going to
the way you're working at there is
Bob Kane came down and brought forth like I'm not.
No. So like a good example there. You talked about our.
Let's talk about Supergirl, right? Like Supergirl has a similar origin but different, right? Supergirl. She falls into like a time warp as she gets lifted off from Krypton.
That's the modern one.
That's the modern one. But in the DC high school one, she just sort of comes and somehow she's older, right? So she comes almost at the same time as Superman, as I understand it, which makes it weird in the timeline. She's asking about this. And she's like, does she know Superman? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
So the modern telling of the Supergirl origin is that she was on her way. She was sent. The Rockets both left Krypton,
and they're like cousins, right? Because they're both from the same.
One is from Argo, which is like a sister moon, and Kal-El's from Krypton, but they're cousins. They're family.
Wait, was Argo destroyed too?
Argo was not destroyed. Argo was captured by Brainiac. So right. No, so hold on. So the world of Krypton explodes, but
maybe I should have watched the WB Krypton show.
But the overall destruction of Krypton was then like retcon / change that the reason it was destroyed was because Brainiac was actually causing it. Brainiac then captured the entire city of Argo. The whole purpose of Brainiac is absorb knowledge and then destroy it so that he's the only container of it.
Right. That's
so he basically captures the entire of city of Argo, shrinks it. She fires off into space before that happens to to protect Cal as well, to be the protector of Cal. She was supposed to be the older cousin while he was still a baby. But she gets caught into like a wormhole / black hole / time anomaly or whatever. By the time she ends up, or she gets spit out of that time anomaly, she's the same age. Like nothing had happened, but in reality, it's been 30 plus years, 27 years or whatever. So Kal-El is now older. She lands. She's now the young cousin, even though she knows Kal-El as a baby. And so she's got this. With
Superman's family?
They visited. There's like, depending on what story or whatever, there was a moment where like they visited.
But that's one of the questions that are asked. She's like, isn't this Superman's parents? I'm like, yeah, is Supergirl his sister? I'm like, no, I think cousin, but they're related, so maybe they got raised because
that one's an easy story to tell because they didn't change too much of it. The Wonder Woman one is the one that
that one's insane.
It's insane. There's
differences in every comic you read, yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The 30s, you've got this origin, and so depending on which version of the media you're watching, if you're watching like the Justice League cartoon or you're watching this one, they'll pick and choose which origin they want to run with. And then
depending on the time period, what they're trying to
say. Right. And then you've got like the modern movie that just came out, and then that one is a completely different origin than, she's just a child that was born. We don't know how she was just born, and yet she is
the movie.
Yeah,
she's the weapon. She's the god killer.
The weapon. She's the weapon. She's the weapon. Right. But
which R was like heartbroken when the sword got broke. Like she looked at me and spoilers. Sorry. She looked at me and was like, what? What's going on here? And I'm like, just keep watching. It's cool. She's like, but she's been carrying it the whole movie. Like, what the hell? What is this rip-off power thing? And I'm like, no, this is
right.
Wait for it.
Yeah, there's been multiple editions and renditions and post-crisis, pre-crisis nonsense. It's a mess. So DC's always been kind of a mess because it's got so many years.
Do you wind up just like, at least I just sort of reboot it, right? I just say, okay, this is Wonder Woman in this universe, and this is Wonder Woman in that universe, and they're the same Wonder Woman, but hey, just got to keep it separate, kiddo. This is just two different. And then I use the word mythology because we've read some Greek mythology.
That's good. That's a good term to use for the DC. The DC.
Yeah, heroes. This is the mythology of them. So it works. It works pretty well. I mean, we only read. I mean, this is gonna sound terrible. We really only read the Wonder Woman and then the DC superhero high things because those are the ones tailored for R, right? And I wouldn't even know what comics are good for her in the modern era for DC. There's not many Marvel ones that I feel good about reading to her anyway.
Does the comic shop in Syracuse have a good like kid section? Like here's like the kid.
It's like I mean it's good, but it's like it's full of Adventure Time comics. Like it's full of comics that are just cartoons turned into comics, and it's not like I have to ask for recommendations, and then I tend to just go and read it. I ask other people, like, what are you reading now to your 8-year-old? And then I see if it's good for a 6-year-old or 5-year-old. Also, I want to read the ones that I like. I love Captain Marvel. I love Miss Marvel. Pretty much anything Marvel. I got to raise her as a Marvel kid before I can let her really indulge in DC stuff, right? That's the jam. And it cracks me up because everything she knows about Batman, she knows from the Lego movies. She doesn't actually know any like real Batman stuff. She only knows. So whenever I do, and then I'm gonna do this, she's like, "That's Batman." Like she totally thinks
to be fair, I'm okay with that because the DC Lego movies have parodied Batman so well. They've made sure that they've given you enough of his origin that you realize Batman's a pretty silly character.
Yeah,
like his whole shtick is so silly that you can really run with it and like make it comedic. Yeah, my parents are dead. Oh, and he's got child issues. Oh God. Oh,
commitment issue.
Yeah, he's commitment issue. Also, she's like friend issue. Like I'm a loner. I don't play. But then at the same time, he's all like the Justice League having fun, and he's all like, they didn't invite me. Don't they know how cool I am?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
it's good. It's good. So this is, and she gets that and she laughs at it. She'd rather have Wonder Woman, I think, in the because she'll spot them in the back scene.
Have you had her watch the Teen Titans Go movie?
No, I haven't watched any Teen Titans stuff. Teen Titans Go looks a little bit older. The jokes. So
I think she'll like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. There's some good.
It's fun. A fight. It's a fight. She's at that age now where she just wants to watch the same thing over and over again. So it's a fight to like get her to watch something different.
Yeah, my kiddo got to that point. Is at that point too. So he'll fight me. He'll ask for a movie, and I go, Okay. And then I put the other movie on that I want to watch, and then he's like, what? No. And then he tries to run out the room, but then he gets caught. He gets caught, and I'm like,
I'm caught in the freeze, ready to watch TV.
come on.
Yeah.
Come and watch it. And by the end of it all, he's like quoting the movie, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, Mary and the Witch's Fire was exactly that. She's like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this. She threw a mini tantrum. Sarah and I just sort of committed. We just steered the course, and we're like, we're watching this. This is what we want to watch. And about 10 minutes in, she's like, And then at the end, she's like, I like that. Let's watch it again. I'm like, great. See, you got to trust us. But then a week later, she's like, nope, I want to watch Sing again. I'm like, come on. I enjoy Sing. I just don't need to watch it a million times.
50 times, all the music gets stuck in your head like earwigs.
Yeah, and we can't watch Incredibles anymore because she watched it pretty much like 7 times in a row, and I was like,
no.
I know. Although we saw part 2, which is good.
Yeah. So anyway, board games with the kiddos. I haven't gotten a chance to do much of that yet. I need to. You
gotta sit down. It's tough. One of the things I have trouble navigating with her is getting her to understand that losing isn't a big deal. Like she doesn't really. Not
my oldest is like that. Carmel's like that.
And I'm just like, you need to realize that it's still fun even if you're losing. I told her, do you remember? I don't remember the name of it now, but you remember that game where you put dots on the board on your notebook and then you have to connect them and make boxes, and whoever made the box got a free move.
A letter. Yeah, you put your letter. You put your initial in it.
Yeah. There's. We looked it up. There's a million variations of it. Like every country has their own version, and this game was invented pre-internet, so I'm curious as to how that game spread. Right? It's a mathematician's game, whatever. But I was showing her how to play it. I was like, "Hey, let's play a game." Putting the boxes down and seeing if she got the sort of geometry of it and the sort of understanding. Like, it's a really cool game because it needs to teach you that you have to be willing to give up a few points to score a lot more, right? Because if you could sort of trick the person to take a couple 3 easy box rows and then you score like a 10 box row, right?
That's kind of how I play tic-tac-toe with the kiddo, which is the right pattern and you give them certain boxes and you corner them, and then they always take the bait to take that corner piece, and you're like, ha, and you get like 2, yeah.
Dude, the first thing, I hate tic-tac-toe, so the first thing I told her was, no one ever wins tic-tac-toe. And all we do every time we play, I'm like, oh, it's another draw. Oh, it's another draw.
Well, you can win. You know how to win. You know
that 5-year-old in tic-tac-toe
and then left and then.
Yeah, but it's not I needed to show her that really tic-tac-toe is a game about programming, right? Which is like, do these steps every time and you can win. It's not really. I'm sure there's a mathematician out there that can show me the optimal ways to play tic-tac-toe to never end in a draw, but it's always, for me, a draw. But this grid game, right, like, it was weird because she would get, like, she would make a mistake and I would score a box. She would get so mad, and then I would score another box, and then she would get mad, and eventually I was like, oh, this is no fun, so I would just let her score a bunch of boxes so that I didn't have to deal with the crying. So I'm really trying to navigate the kind of, like, frustration of a 5-year-old that feels like they should be winning all the time, or, and this is the school she goes to, or it should be even. That's also what she's like. She's like, why am I not getting any boxes? And I'm like, kiddo, like, you got to earn those boxes, but she's learning division now in school, so everything has to be even in division. And I'm always like,
so that's a good topic to kind of run into there. You kind of ran right into that one. Kids in general, like we don't, I'm for that. Like, I'm for the kiddo to learning that way, in the sense of giving them something, like at school, they're like, oh, you didn't earn it. But, every school, like, participation trophy, and everyone's got that, like, oh, participation trophy. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I think it's good that the kiddos get to play. But then there's always that, like, that moment where you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of silly. Then they're not really learning anything. So
there's a tipping point, right? I mean, at the core of board gaming for me is she needs it's a fun social activity, right? And I'm trying to teach her that being a sore loser is not fun or social, right? So that's really my focus. It's not so much on the winning and the trophies. It's more like, hey, watch. Now what I've done is I've started to lose on purpose, and I try to show her, like, do you see how Daddy's saying good game and wants to play again? Do you see how Daddy is enjoying the game even though he's losing and wants to finish it? Do you see how Daddy hasn't flipped the board, right? So I'm trying to Unless it's Monopoly, you bastards. No Monopoly in my house. But so I'm just trying to like figure out how to navigate that. And I'd be curious to see other people with kids, how they navigate that. Because I know I was a board flipper, like when I was a kid. And somehow there was a tipping point in which I stopped being a sore loser. And then I became a great.
You were a board flipper, huh?
Oh, I mean, you could talk to, if you ever want to talk to my dad or my mom, I was one of the worst sore losers ever. I'd flip the board and cry and scream and it's not fair. I was one of those kids. But I either grew out of it or did my dad beat me out of it. I don't know. Whatever they did back then to get me out. I don't know which happened.
Well, that took a turn.
And now we are a Mid-Geek therapy session. No, it's just,
Daddy doesn't love me.
He did love me in the best way he knew how. But it's
the best way he knew how.
We all do, right? The best way we know how. We might not have the tools to do it. Like I currently don't have the tools to teach my kid how to lose successfully. And
it gets old when they get older. When they get older.
So I think it's interesting, right? Participation trophies are important in that we have to teach our kids to be willing to participate.
Right.
A lot of kids, I think a lot of reason, if you look at what you read about millennials, and I don't want to talk about them, but like a lot of people they don't
pro millennials on this show.
Oh, I love them.
I think, yeah. And again, just to kind of put a big like exclamation point on what we're talking about here. We don't talk negative about millennials. I hate the term. I hate the term that it's used in a negative connotation. I think it's silly. I think it's used as a scapegoat to blame everyone else's problems.
I love them.
I love them. They spend tons of money.
And they closed Applebee's. I'm excited for that. Do that.
Wait, is Applebee's closed?
No, it's not.
Oh my God. No, but sure, they are closing Applebee's. They are closing.
One last time.
Right, no. But so just putting that out there.
Like everyone talks about them as like they all got participation trophies, so they know how to deal with it. But I also think like a lot of their parents and parental style at the time, I should say, sort of taught them that if you can't win, don't do it.
Right.
But I think a philosophy I'm trying to teach my daughter is more if you don't try, you've lost. Right. So it's a different kind of take where I'm like, hey, you got to be willing to try these things. You got to be willing to lose. You got to be willing to learn. Right. There's no risk in being a child. Right. You do everything you could do because the worst that can happen is you get a scraped knee and you come back. Right. So I'm just trying to, I don't know. So like I want to teach her that like even if you lose the game, it's worth playing. And chess is one of those games that's really important that you got to lose a lot to learn how to play. So I'm trying to, I don't know how it's working. I know when I play with other little kids with her, it's always like a chore because I love my child immensely. No disrespect to everyone else out there. I don't like your child as much. So it's tough to like deal with another sore loser, right? I'm just like, why did I even put this game on the table? And now I'm trying to run a board game for two sore loser kids, or one really pushy kid, or one not pushy kid, things like that. So I don't know. I want to do more. I want to play more games.
We're doing our best. I think you and me are doing our best at raising our kids in a way that they are awesome game players, like in a co-op session. Like when we all have, you, me, both, everyone, we all have that one player that we play with that is so obsessed with winning that
it's not fun to play with them.
Not fun to play with them.
Dude.
A perfect example is didn't you demo a game at PAX with someone, and that particular individual made the game not as fun as it could be?
Oh, I did. So yeah. So here's an interesting. I
want to talk about the board game aspect here. So like,
everyone out there who plays board games, and
right,
the folks that listen play. Sit down one day and play a board game that involves a lot of thinking. And then think about how much time you're waiting for someone to take their turn, and then compare that to how often they win. Right? So I like deep analytical games, and I don't want to call anybody out. I sat down to play a demo with this game was deep. I mean, a lot of different options, a lot of ways you have to connect. One of those games where things you do on turn 1, you're trying to set up your turn 15, right? It's just a deep analytical.
Everything. If you make a mistake early on in the game, there's going to be repercussions.
You can catch up if you don't recognize that you've made that mistake, right? So, and then it's one of those games where you invest in a strategy and you might have to switch quickly as you're losing that strategy to another player.
We're not going to name the game because we don't want to name the person that might have been listening or
exactly. So anyway, we're playing this game, and there's someone at the table who is spending an enormous amount of time taking their turns, right? And it's a demo. There's no money on it, right? So my frustration also comes in where I'm like, I take 4 seconds to take my turn because A, there's no money riding on the game.
B, it's a demo, so you're just learning. You want to get through the game so that you can see.
So we can learn everything and see everything.
Right.
Yeah. And C, like, I'm not there to win, right? I'm there to have fun. I'm there to learn the game and hang out. I happen to know people involved. So things like that. This guy, of course, takes forever, goes on, asks questions, whatever. Doesn't know whose turn it is, right? He's so not paying attention. And then he wins, right? And he's, like, satisfied with this win. And I kind of want to be like, dude, you spent the most time thinking, right? Like, if you plot out amount of time with the ball, it's weird that you won because you had the most time with the ball, right? Like, it's very, I hate using sports analogies, but, like, dude, and I mean, I don't know how to fix that. Like, sometimes you just have to call people out. I mean, everyone knows in my house when we play games, if you're taking too long on your turn, I'm going to tell you, I'll be like, oh, here we are. It's Joe's turn, where turns go to die. Not to call you out, Joe, because you actually take really fast turns, but, like, where turns go to die. It's just like, why are you taking so long?
And that's why, as DMs and whatnot, we try to create mechanics to do that. Like, for example, I introduced. I've got two timers that I set, and so the moment it's like go, boom, I flip the timer. Go. If you don't go, you skip a turn, or you ready in action, and then
you've got a huge group, so I
6.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that my group is 4, and also they've played board games with me, so they fully understand when I'm like, you gotta move, like, move faster. It's your turn. Know what you're gonna do on your turn. And I can't do that with my 5-year-old, obviously, because
but the advantage there, and this is the advantage that I envy you, and it's the fact that I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so if I want to sit down and play a game with my 9-year-old, I got to either do it in secret or put the 5-year-old doing something else so that I can teach the 9-year-old the game. Because if the 9-year-old and the 5-year-old both attack the board game, there's no learning involved. It's hard to kind of get both of them to focus. The 5-year-old is going to get it. The 9-year-old might want to get it, but the 5-year-old is being distracted and wanting to play the game. And, daddy, let me play, that kind of thing. So it's one of those scenarios where I've got to get the 5-year-old out of the house or distracted with maybe something else. Maybe shove the video game console into him for a little bit while I play.
Can you get the 9-year-old to be your buddy? Can you be like, hey, C, help me teach how to play this game? Can you do that? Is that possible? Can you?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I could
have them take a more like you're the older kid role. I'm gonna shuffle these cards. Here, do this while you're also playing with.
I got to get to that. We're gonna have more board game nights coming soon. I picked up a couple of board games. I picked up that Borderlands game, which while the theme might not be as kid friendly, the idea of playing the game is so simple. It's just building a robot. And I'm going to pick up more games like that very soon. I've got a couple in my cart that I've been wanting to pick up. But we need more kid games. I picked up a couple board games. I picked up Bang, which some people saw in the pictures, and that's a great game. I mean, kids can get it. My 9-year-old might be able to get it if I teach him how to sit down and play, but my 5-year-old won't get it as quick.
Yeah,
I need a game that's adjusted within that age range that both of them can get.
Did I give you Castle Panic?
Mm-mm.
What did I give you? I know I gave somebody a copy of it. I don't know. Anyway, I know you gave me a copy, and I already had a copy. So I don't know if I gave it back. Anyway, Castle Panic's a good one. Put that on your list, because that one's just like symbols and lining up colors. O can play it. I think R plays it really well. It's a little long, but you might be able to get them involved. Castle Panic's a great one. Every 5 and 6-year-old I've met.
There's also a My First Castle Panic version.
Oh, there you go.
So that might be a good one to pick up. It's only $18 too.
It's got chibis.
It's like the chibi versions. Yeah.
My First Scythe is also great for that. If you wanted to pick that one up, that's when you showed.
Oh wow, this is nice. Yeah. $18. Add to cart.
And it's tower defense. Like, what kid doesn't like tower defense, right? That's
right.
A simple concept for them to grasp. So good deal. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that's a co-op game, so you don't have to worry about anybody losing. Although R still gets upset when we lose the co-op game. She's like, "Can't we just rebuild the castle?" And I'm like, "Kiddo, no, we have to start over. We've lost. Like that's just the way the game crumbles." I mean, in Discover Lands Unknown, your character can actually die. So one of the things R was in charge of when we were playing was she had to mark when my character was thirsty or hungry. Or got hurt, and eventually she looked and she was like, "Daddy, you have 2 skulls." And I'm like, "Yeah, now I'm thirsty." She's like, "Daddy, what's going to happen next?" And I'm like, "Well, if I get hurt one more time, I'm going to die." And she sort of gets like, I'm going to lose the game. And I'm like, "Well," she's like, "Well, you need to go get water." Like she understands the concepts here, which is great for the game. All right, so it's Minecraft. It's Minecraft in a board game.
It's fun. No, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I have it in my cart actually. It's only $20, 28 bucks on Amazon right now.
Yeah. It's dirt cheap. It's really easy. It's just an action economy, and you can blast through it quick. One action does one thing. Everything you want to do is one action, so you can figure it out very quickly.
So one more topic before we end this, because like I said, we want to end this short. But board games in general, we talk about our kids wanting to play it and playing with our kids. As adults, getting that group together to play it is hard. Mm-hmm. You and I both have set board game nights. I have Sunday. You have Sunday. The problem is those nights are dedicated to D&D. Mm-hmm. And getting people 2 times in a week is very hard. Canceling a D&D night to play board games sometimes gets certain individuals not wanting to play. They're like, "Oh, well, I wanted to play D&D. I don't want to play."
Yeah, I guess I'll go do work or hang out
whatever. So a good example this Sunday coming up, or I don't know if it was yesterday. You canceled.
Yesterday.
It was yesterday. So Jordan was out of town, and he's in his game group.
Why you got to call him out? You got to
call him out. No, shame him. He was out of town, so he didn't get to play. So you got to play some board games. Did anyone come over and play board games?
I canceled it because there wasn't much expressed interest. I was already tired from the day of Howl's Moving Castle, so I was just like, "Oh, no one said anything, so we'll just cancel it."
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm talking about. Those are days where, I need to. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I haven't played D&D in over a month. Wow. It's been canceled for a while. I put the game on hiatus for restructuring and just kind of getting some set pieces in order. But then PAX was coming up, and then the wife was out of town, and I don't know how I'm going to kick it off again. I don't know if I'm not saying I'm canceling it permanently. I think I got to find a way to involve me in a different manner. I like DEMing a lot. But just like you, I'm sure when board game night comes around, you get to enjoy it because you get to be on level playing field. You get to
exactly
not just constantly be the content creator. And there's so much fun in being a DM. There's a lot of people that
it's a blast. I love it.
I mean, I love it. I love it. But a good example is you run the D&D session at PAX, but you did have a lot of fun playing D&D. With the Dwarven Forge individuals.
I forgot how much fun it is to be a character.
Right, so that's one of those things. And you got that. I could tell you were so happy that you got to play because you don't get to play. So that's one of those scenarios where, as we get older, it's hard to get a group. Have you looked at I know as I have. Even the wife has been like, "Hey, man, have you looked at gaming groups or try to find people?" I mean, for you, it's a little easier because you've got your group of D&D players is already your age, if not within your age range.
They're all my
D&D players are all 12 years younger than me.
Yeah, they're way younger. Mine's are 5 or 6 years, so we're close. I have a D&D group.
Age is not usually a big deal, but there is a moment of
when I was young, I had severe FOMO, right? I would never commit to anything every week because who knows what awesome new party that I wasn't invited to could pop up, right? So you've got the FOMO all the time. It's like, oh, if I say every Sunday I'm going to D&D, what if something awesome? What if I don't know? Nothing really happened, but
what happens on Sunday? Nothing. Nothing happens on Sunday except maybe Game of Thrones for
D&D.
the next.
D&D. Oh wow, that's right. That's soon, right? Is it next week? What is it? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's on the list of things to watch, I guess, because if I miss it, then everyone's going to be talking about it, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
Not in my office. No one's going to be talking about it in my office. I'll be fine.
You sure? Game of Thrones is one of those things that we can talk about on another episode, but it definitely transcended.
Literally, no one talks about.
It's TV. Such fantasy. It's fantasy.
I'm telling you, no one talks about TV in my office. You think? It's an interesting environment. I like them all a lot. So
were they all
of them are listening? No disrespect, you guys. Yeah, it wasn't even that much March Madness talk. It wasn't even.
Wow.
I don't know. There isn't much. I don't want to say there's not much socializing because we do we poke fun and we have fun. It's just not really a what'd you watch last night kind of group. It's an interesting environment. It's interesting. I don't. It could be because they don't talk to me about it, but even when I hear them talking to each other, they don't talk about it. I mean, like one guy was like, "I'm a gamer," and I was like, "Oh, awesome, me too. Let's talk." And like after like 3 weeks of me asking what's he playing, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't get to play anything." I'm like, "You're not a gamer. Get out of my face." Like,
we can't shame. We're an equal gamer. Gaming love.
Him, but I was like, "Don't get my hopes up, buddy." Like I thought we could be friends, but instead we've got nothing in common. So I don't know.
Man.
This is I don't know. Anyway.
No.
I actually have 2 separate groups. It's funny. My D&D group on Sunday are also board gamers, but when I do have board game nights, it's actually Thursdays. And what I've done is
you're able to set 2 nights.
I don't do shit. So I've evangelized, right? Like I'm trying to be friends with my kids' friends' parents, right? So the minute I find out that they have any interest at all in board games, I'm like, let's have a board game night, and I invite them over. So I've had a few parents over in the neighborhood and from my kids' school to play board games, and I think it's been successful. I need to set one up for April, but that's what I'm. What
game have you started with?
So we started with Cult Express.
That's an easy one. That's a good one.
Cult Express is a great one. It hits the table. Everyone loved it. In fact, they asked for it again. I've also done. We did Cult Express. We did the Networks, which is a Gil Hava's game. Fantastic game. A little deeper, a little higher level. And I did.
I almost picked it up at PAX. I was this close.
I did 7 Wonders because I had 7 people show up. Right, it's one of those times where I invited a bunch. I wasn't expecting them all to show up, and they all showed up.
They all did show up. 7 Wonders is a good game to play with 7 people, but it can.
It's big. I mean, it's a lot to talk about.
But what's nice about 7 Wonders, for anyone listening that hasn't played it, is once you learn to play 7 Wonders, you can play pretty much any other Euro style, as in any of those resource, multiple little pieces, collect and cash in and whatever. And
that one you just play by yourself, pretty much, except looking at your neighbors. So. So I don't know. My next board game night, I one of the parents' friends, one of my kids' parents, right? Parents from the school. He told me the other night, he was like, "Oh, we went to him with House Movie Castle." He was like, "Oh, I played Dominion with his friends," and I was like, "You played Dominion? Like, I haven't played that in a while." I'm kind of like, "Oh, maybe I should bring that one out again." I haven't played that one in a while, so I'm excited to play it. And I'd love to get. I mean, some of them, I think the themes turn people off. Like, I'd love to teach them Sentinels and The Captain is Dead.
Oh man!
But it's such nerdy themes that I don't know that I can get them to sit down and play it with me. Right? They're not quite. I haven't quite converted them to the super nerds yet, where they're willing to play those kind of themes.
Everyone's a super nerd now. They don't know it, but they really are. The media is. We've already overtaken TV. Half the TV shows people watch, half the movies everyone's expecting. Everyone's excited for Avengers. Everyone watches Game of Thrones. Yeah. So we've got fantasy and superheroes already in their lexicon without them even realizing it. Like, they're all about these two franchises.
Yeah, but it's like the sports guy who goes sees a Marvel movie and then fills out his fantasy football roster, but he doesn't want to play D&D. I'm like, dude, you're already there. Like, you've crossed the bridge. You're already there. Let's play. And they're like,
they just don't want to commit.
They don't want to commit for me. And I love Jesus. I don't want to deal with the devil. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, everybody. There's no devil. Anyway, so board games are weekend. There's our board game show. Board games. So we'll talk more about it as we go.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it, guys. Again, this episode was short. We're trying to kind of home it in. We're trying to really sharpen. We're trying to really maybe next week. Maybe we'll have 2 shows a week soon. I don't know yet. Maybe cut this thing out to 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Maybe do 2 hours a week. Maybe talk video games one, board games another. Again, I don't know yet, guys.
Let us know. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know if you enjoy our family stuff or you rather.
I keep saying there's going to be more stuff during the week, maybe a stream, whatever. I'm getting to it. I definitely want to power on some Borderlands this week. Maybe I can get.
Let's do it. Let's do the little. There won't be a camera of me, right? Oh, I guess I can hook up my Connect. My beautiful face. Let's do it.
We'll do something.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, good stuff.
Yeah. Guys, like, subscribe, share.
And gals, people,
individuals.
Yes.
Lords and ladies.
Fans. So follow, comment, especially. I see some people commenting. What is it? Mind blown? Man, what is this? Mind freak? Mind Peak. Anyway, Mind Something. Thank you for subscribing and commenting on last week's show. I replied to you. Let me know what you like.
Absolutely.
Everyone out there that's been subscribing and catching up with us, please.
Yeah, catch up. Let's talk.
If you comment, I will shout you out. So
absolutely.
bring it on every time.
Absolutely. Again, have a good one, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Episode 25 in the can.
Nice. There you go. You beat me to it.